Welcome back, everyone. Yet another exciting and exhilarating episode in the extinction zone. I've just been exploring with reaction videos, and they're quite fun to do, to be honest, but I don't know if they're going to go anywhere. We'll see. Okay, people are starting to come in, so welcome everyone. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today we'll be educating you about why suffering is bad, why it's unacceptable, and what we should be doing about it, and what we're doing about it. So the problem with suffering is that it's just so extreme. It's so terrible. It's like it is the most evil thing imaginable, basically. There's nothing else really bad in the world. There's nothing else that's extremely bad, that's outrageously, shockingly unacceptable as suffering itself. Now, throughout human history, people have always split suffering up into different groups, right? Vegans only care about farmed animals. Anti-racists only care about, people of color or minorities, etc. So extinctionism, the pro-extinction movement, is the first and only movement which is against all types of suffering without discrimination. So we don't say we'll only help farmed animals, we'll only help poor people. No, we should make it so that nobody is suffering. That's the problem with these other movements, is that even in their best case scenario, there's still going to be loads of terrible suffering, right? So they're fighting for a cause which ultimately cannot and wouldn't end suffering for everyone. So they're fighting for a non-universal system. That's part of the problem. So the pro-extinction movement, what we're doing is we're fighting for a universal system of safety for everyone and all different types of life with zero discrimination, like absolutely zero discrimination. So it's a universal system. And that means that, if this universal system of anti-suffering that we're creating, which starts with our movement of people fighting to cause extinction and make it possible, what the anti-discriminatory universal system against suffering means is that, we could find that there's other planets out there with life, and suddenly they would take priority over us if they're, suffering worse or something like that. So it means that humans are not necessarily the most important ones. It means that, animals can take priority depending on the situation. So human supremacy is gone, basically, right? So it's now a universal system, completely non-discriminatory system, based on just helping as much life as possible in just the most sensible way possible. So this means that nobody gets discriminated against. No life form will be left out or favored over a different one. Humanity won't be, favored over other life forms for emotional reasons. It will be strictly, emotionless. It will be objective. Imagine imagine it like this. Imagine we've got an AI and we send it out into orbit around the planet, and it has no connections to humanity or to animals on Earth. It doesn't care about them more than other life. And it's going to say, right, what should I do? Should I only care about Earth? No, I should think about the whole universe. So it's completely non-discriminatory, right? Earth is just one planet of many. Humans are just one species of many. So we have to think about it as much as possible. Hello, Mr. Rocco. How are you doing?
Yo, what's up, bro?
I'm good. Do you have any questions for us?
It says debate me, so
Yeah,
I don't know. Were you looking for a debate?
Whatever. Questions, discussion, debate, whatever.
Yeah, so you believe forcefully causing extinction to all life is the right thing to do because it ends suffering?
Yeah. Well, suffering is unacceptable, right? So, yeah, it's the only right thing to do.
Why is suffering unacceptable? On whose standard?
But I think by anyone's standard, it should be unacceptable, right?
Anyone's standard.
Well, if you were being tortured, would you find that acceptable?
What if I enjoyed being tortured?
Okay, what if you didn't?
That's like, what? Why are you avoiding it?
So you think we should focus on a very niche exception to the rule. You know,
No, I'm asking
the
you.
very tiny minority of people that enjoy torture.
No, so I'm asking you. So if I enjoy torture, like genuinely, and I
So
didn't
if
mind,
1% of the
why are
population
you not
enjoys
letting me
torture, we
finish?
should make sure everyone gets tortured. That's your
So what
idea.
happens with those people if they enjoy suffering and they enjoy, they don't
Well, we
mind losing
shouldn't
their
let
life?
1% of weird people make the rest suffer. So that's
Oh, so
it's a silly
those
question.
people
It's a
destroy your
silly
point.
question.
Okay, so we'll focus on the majority because if we include those people, then your point is destroyed.
It's not
So,
destroyed. It's not
okay,
destroyed,
so
right?
let's tackle the 1%
Okay,
then.
fine, fine.
Okay, so if they enjoy brutal suffering to the point where they don't care about losing their life, what's it called? Why would that be? Why would
Yeah,
suffering be wrong?
nobody actually enjoys extreme suffering. That's it
Oh,
doesn't exist.
where are you getting this information?
Well, you're the one making a claim that it does exist. So if you could show us that.
You don't think that soldiers have existed that they don't mind losing their lives? You don't think that's ever been the
And that
case?
counts as enjoying suffering, does it? Rocco,
Yeah, it
this
does.
conversation is done.
Look, you're
It's
running.
not a
Don't run.
serious
Don't run.
conversation,
You're running.
right?
You're running.
I'm not running away. We're talking about extreme suffering, you know, animals being tortured, and your response is, what about those that like being tortured? That's just an insane response, right? It's like saying, all of this crime is going on. Should we make it illegal? And you say, what about people that like being robbed? What about the people that enjoy being murdered? No, we shouldn't make murder illegal because some people enjoy being murdered. What? That's just insane. And all the people thinking that I ran away from that conversation, you are insane, basically, right? That's just obviously a completely mental argument. There's been at least 4 people in the chat say that I lost that debate, which is hilarious, right? The guy literally dodged my questions, and he made it about saying that we should have a system where if someone enjoys being murdered, then we should make it legal for everyone to be murdered, right? That's just stupid, right? What if someone enjoys being tortured? Oh, well, then we should make it perfectly legal, right? If one person enjoys being tortured, everyone should have to be. Wow. And people actually think I lost that debate. I feel bad for you, right? We should have empathy for those people who are so severely handicapped. Hello, how you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, you got cooked pretty good there, I'd say. Running
Okay,
away is a
why
good
don't you prove
indicator
it?
that you,
Prove it. Let's hear the argument then.
yeah, running away is a good argument
So let me
against
ask you
your
this:
stand there.
if someone likes to be
Oh, you're
if someone enjoys
really
being
hopped
murdered.
up, my friend. You got to calm down just a little bit. You're all hopped up and mad. Just shh. All right, are we good now?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Perfect. There we go. So my question to you is: do you believe trans women are real women? Look at this
Right.
smile.
Yeah,
Look at
I
this
didn't think
smile.
you were a serious person to begin with. You're out of here. It's nothing to do with extinction. It's nothing to do with suffering. We're not here to debate trans women.
Hey,
Hello, how you
you
doing?
ever, I'm all right. You ever heard the song Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson?
No, we are not a music station here. It's a debate
There's
channel.
there's a lyric in that song where he says, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look in the mirror and make that change, right? That means if you want to change in the world, start with yourself.
Right. TikTok is lagging a bit, so I was actually tried to kick him a lot sooner than that, but it didn't let me. So that was just another person advocating for suicide, you know, in public view, right? Advocating for something strictly illegal, literally telling people to unalive themselves. We could report that guy to the police if you
Sorry,
wanted to.
gotta clear my throat. Can you hear me?
It is illegal. Yeah, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you? So, the first thing I want to bring up is to say that soldiers died for their country. They must have enjoyed suffering. It's just not true. It's about honor. It's about other things. It's not the actual act of suffering. So, that's not really a good point for him to make at the
Yeah,
start.
that was insane. The guy was clearly insane, and everyone in the chat agreeing with him must be even more insane.
Yeah, and the second point about a Michael Jackson song, besides just saying it's not a good source, I also have to admit you can't make a change in yourself. I think the main suffering we have is these world leaders or all these systemic issues that we have that actually affect the average person.
No,
So you can
so
go be kind,
actually,
but
no. Let me correct you. The vast majority of suffering is not only in nature with wild animals, but even for humans, most of their suffering is caused by nature as well.
Okay, what do you mean by that? Let's go
Like
through that a bit more.
illnesses, you know.
Oh yeah. I think it's also like we can alleviate most of that suffering. Can't reduce it. We can't completely get rid of it. But to say, "Oh, just be a nicer person," it's not going to do anything. If you're born in a slum and you don't have access to healthcare and you're getting Ebola because your water's contaminated, I mean, is that really a life you want to live?
No, nobody should have to.
I think none of us chose to be born, so to say that, yeah, I don't know. I think I see your point of your argument, and to say that it's the only right thing to do, although it's not the practical thing we should do, I do agree it is the only
It is
morally correct
practical.
thing to do.
It is possible to
Okay,
do.
you're losing me a bit. We can't practically do it
Why not?
because you still
Why
need to
not?
maintain autonomy. Because because you see it as black and white, right? You might
No,
not
that
enjoy
doesn't explain
suffering.
why we can't do it.
Okay, but you might not enjoy to suffer, but you might not value it less than you value your
I'm not
life. You
hearing an
might value your
argument
life
here.
more.
I'm not hearing any logic, any sort of
Okay, you're definitely
counter-argument.
rage baiting. But anyways, that's my point. I mean,
Okay.
you've got
Yeah,
yeah.
I appreciate you coming on and all that, but extinction is extremely possible, and you can't debate against it being possible, which is why he couldn't, right? He just dodged every single question. That's at that
No.
point you do have to kick them out of the stream. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, how are you? I'm doing quite great. I came up here just to ask you a question. Like, why do you really believe like we should really extinct everybody and commit mass genocide?
Well,
Is
it
it
wouldn't be
completely
genocide.
over
It would
suffering?
be causing extinction. It's different.
Right. Okay. What made you? I just quick question. What made you think this and come up with this claim? Like,
I
why do you
didn't.
believe it?
I
You
didn't.
didn't.
I didn't start this movement. It's there's lots of people in the movement. I'm just one of many.
Oh, so somebody else brainwashed you into believing this, and that's what you
No,
believe.
no. But the idea that you have to be brainwashed is very. I mean, that's kind of the opposite of an argument, right? So there's quite literally ad hominem. There's no logic there that I can refute, right? I can't say, well, no, I wasn't brainwashed. I mean, yeah, I can say that, but why should I have to, right? It's not a serious argument. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Jordan coming up next. Hello.
Hey, this is so funny. I had a conversation with atheists who think God cannot be real because he allows suffering, and I said, well, do you think parents are evil then for bringing kids into a world full of suffering? And then they said, like basically, oh, well, parents can't end suffering, so like they're not morally capable. And I'm like, yeah, they could. They could just stop having kids. So the fact that I'm seeing this stream of it's just I'm dying laughing. This is so funny. I hope they see it.
Yeah, but we're not actually just for antinatalism. That actually is counterproductive to extinction. So we have for total extinction, you have to do animals, and that could take a very long time. So we need humanity to keep going temporarily until we've helped those that can't help themselves.
All right, man. Well, Godspeed.
Okay, Jordan, no logic detected there either. So we're going to continue on with the mission of the stream today is to find at least one person that can use logic. At least one person that can actually debate, give some sort of counter argument. Now, George here, he's definitely going to fail. Like 100% definitely going to fail. But let's hear what he's got to say anyway.
No, I was wondering why you kept kicking everyone when they were like destroying you. Just when you don't have an argument. You
Okay,
just get rid of them.
let's hear let's stop waffling. Destroy me.
I'm on about past people. You just keep kicking.
So you're okay. Give an argument that they used.
Why do you not like veganism?
See, you're not a serious person, George. You're not here to argue. You don't have an argument.
That's a fair question. Why do you not like veganism? You say come up here and ask a question, so why do you not like veganism?
Well, I would say that that's a very weak question compared to everything you've just been saying.
Well, it's a unique question. No one else has actually joined and asked it.
So I do actually like veganism as a concept, but the problem is that in our current situation, our current context, veganism causes more suffering. So we do need to work towards a world where that doesn't happen, but right now it does. So we should absolutely have a vegan world and make it so that laboratory grown meat or whatever is available for everyone, and the animals don't have to be tortured so that we can survive. But yeah, again, right now That's not the case. If you go vegan, it will make wild animals suffer more. A vegan world would have infinitely more wild animals suffering, right? It would have no deforestation, for example, and there would be much more suffering. So yeah, vegans don't care about wild animals. That's one of the biggest problems with them. They also don't care about humans suffering. They are pro-suffering. They are pro-life. They want life to continue so that they can enjoy it, even if it causes extreme harm and extreme suffering.
What? So you think deforestation's good?
Yeah, denying land and space to wild animals who will suffer there is a good thing, right? There should just be no suffering.
Okay, well, I think that's just proved my point. Thank you, James.
Yeah, George, again, absolutely zero logic detected from you. No counter argument. You've run away. You know, you came on 2 minutes ago saying you were going to destroy me, that every other guest was cooking me. And then, you know, when given the chance to actually, you know, give one example or to argue yourself, you said literally nothing and then ran away. So, you know, as I always say, and this is quite literally true, there is no argument against extinction. There is no argument against providing safety from suffering for everyone and making sure that nobody is begging for death so that others can have fun while ignoring their suffering and looking away from it. Right? There's no argument to say, yeah, we should let animals scream in pain and, you know, just ignore them and watch Netflix.
Hello.
No. Yeah. Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So like, I just joined, right? I've heard your argument. Like, you believe extinction is going to be good. Would this like deny that life has inherent value? Would you just deny that life has value in any way?
Value to who? What sort of value? Right? Value itself doesn't mean anything in a naked context. I would say that you know, life has value if we care about it. But you know, life having value in this context means that it should be made extinct, because the value is that it can suffer. We should care about it. We should want the best for it. So yeah, if you value life, you should value a zero tolerance policy on life, you know, being tortured.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. So you believe that like I'm just gonna ask again, like for clarification upon your values, right? I'm assuming like, you know, you're gonna appeal to your own thoughts. Obviously, I don't believe any religion is going to uphold to this. So you believe that life has value, therefore it should end to end suffering. That's your whole point?
Well, yeah, if we care about life, then we should make sure that there is no life suffering terribly.
And you believe all life is suffering terribly currently?
No, I never said that.
But you believe in mass extinction or total extinction. So therefore, your proposition is that all life that is suffering like horribly should be extinct. And total extinction infers that all life has, you know, inherent suffering that's going to be horrible.
Well, it doesn't necessarily infer that, right? Even if some people are happy, they should still go extinct as well, because they could suffer and they could also cause more suffering, right? So that they're just going to keep reproducing and causing more suffering.
Okay, interesting. How are you going to determine probability of all life suffering horribly?
We're not. We've already determined that there's an infinite risk of extreme suffering to every life form, and the unlucky ones suffer the worst as a result, whereas even the lucky ones could become the unlucky ones tomorrow. So this system doesn't actually, it's not a good system, and only total extinction guarantees safety for everyone, which is the most important thing.
Interesting. This is honestly, I believe this is irrational if you cannot determine, like, with certainty that it's more probable that all life is going to have horrible suffering than not.
Whoa. Why does all life have to have terrible suffering?
Because you're arguing total extinction.
Right, but again, you know, even those who aren't suffering today could be suffering terribly tomorrow. So extinction protects them from suffering.
Yeah, exactly. You're arguing based upon the potential. I need you to sort of give me some like equation that can determine probability.
You think we should ignore the potential?
I'm never saying that. I'm saying you have the burden of proof.
So, hang on. Okay, I understand. You're saying that yes, that there is infinite risk, but it has to have a level of probability before we take it seriously. But
yes,
you know,
good.
How many have to suffer terribly for you to care? Because it's already happening, right? That infinite risk isn't a hypothetical; it's actually happening.
I'd argue that like the risk is going to be based upon circumstances, right? Like we can determine.
As opposed to what? As opposed to what?
What do you mean as opposed to what? And like in suffering is circumstantial. Like honestly, we cannot even determine the potency or probability.
You're not making you're not adding anything by saying that. That's like saying a table is a table.
I just feel this is more over a tracking error on your end, right? Because again, whenever we're speaking upon a chance, right, you have to have some sort of measurement to determine the probability. If you
Okay,
do not, there's no
Wait,
point.
So you think that we have to measure with like omniscience level objectivity? You know, if there's suffering and a risk of it, that just doesn't make sense. That's an
No,
unrealistic
I
standard.
never said that.
That's
That's
an
a straw man.
unrealistic standard.
That's a straw man.
It's not.
Yes, because you're basing it off of you're basing off
You're
of
saying
what?
we
You're basing
need
the
a
suffering off of
certainty on
what?
the probability. Why?
Because if we do not, then we're just ending life that could probably have no suffering whatsoever, right? It's going to be based like clearly off of a hypothetical that we have no basis.
What's going to happen if you do that is that the unlucky ones are going to suffer terribly. So you don't care if that happens.
Good, beautiful. That's a good question. So then we should try to minimize said suffering instead of ending their life.
So would you minimize slavery instead of ending slavery?
Okay, this is going to be different, bro. Holy straw man, right? Whenever we're speaking upon
Wow.
slavery, that's
It's
the
not a-
owning
it's
of
a
another
question,
human
not a
life.
straw man.
That's a straw man, 100%.
It's a question, not a straw man.
Do you want me to give you why it's a straw man? Do you want me to tell you why?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, good. So whenever we're speaking upon owning a human life versus ending a life, right? This is going to be completely different, especially like total extinction and owning of another human life. Because again, like slavery is a whole nother
Ending of
conversation.
life. What are you talking about?
Total extinction, ending all life. Hello?
No.
I realize.
You misunderstood. Okay, so we have life forms suffering terribly, and you're saying we shouldn't stop that, and I'm saying, well, that's the same as having slavery and saying
I
we
never
shouldn't
said
stop
that.
it.
I never said that.
I
Again, as
haven't
said
finished.
prior.
Yeah, I haven't finished
Okay,
what
go
I'm
ahead.
saying, which is why
Go
you're
ahead, go ahead.
misunderstanding.
Good.
Okay, can I speak now?
Mhm.
So yeah, in the same way that I'm saying we should end all suffering, and you're saying no, we should allow some of it. That's basically as bad as saying we shouldn't end all slavery. We should still allow some of it because we still benefit.
Right. The difference is going to be, again, as I said in the beginning, the probability of suffering, right? Because we cannot-
why? How much probability is acceptable? Because I would say that zero probability, no probability or risk of suffering is acceptable. Like only a zero possibility of suffering is acceptable.
Okay, what's going to be your good? What's going to be your criteria for suffering?
Do you understand that there's terrible suffering in this world?
Again, I'm going to ask you, what's going to be your criteria for suffering?
Okay. Why do you need a criteria?
Because again, to determine whether or not suffering is going to be equivalent to death or like justifiable for
Equivalent
death.
to death. What are you talking
No,
about?
like I mean justifiable, like because you're justifying total extinction by the fact that there's an existence of suffering, right? I need you to sort of tell me, oh my goodness, wait, I forgot. I need you to sort of tell me how can we determine suffering? Like what's going to be your criteria upon suffering? What do you see as suffering?
So why do we need to determine what suffering is when we already know that there's terrible suffering?
That's just presupposing that we all have the same idea of suffering.
So you don't think suffering exists?
Never said that, bro. I'm asking you for your criteria
So
upon
what is
suffering.
it that what understanding is it that you're lacking that you're trying to gain here?
No, there's no misunderstanding. I'm saying everyone's
No, I'm
perception
saying lack of
suffering.
understanding, not misunderstanding. That's you misunderstanding.
Okay, again, I'm gonna say it right. Everyone's perception upon suffering is different. Could you agree?
Not necessarily.
You don't. Whoa, you believe everyone's idea of suffering is going to be the exact same thing upon every example?
I never said that.
Okay, then tell me again. Tell me your criteria as I asked in the
Right,
beginning.
that's it. This is a terrible
Good.
conversation where the guy doesn't even understand basic grammar, basic logic, right? He said, oh, so you think everyone is suffering? It's like, no, I never said that. It's just a crazy conversation, an impossible conversation with an impossible person, okay? Like, the conversation was just dragging on, going nowhere. His insanity was just, making a mess all over the place. There was no serious conversation or argument there. So we're going to move on to someone else. Okay. Let's see who else we got. Look, I get that you're all angry that I kicked him out, but there's only so many times I can ask them a question, they can ignore it, they can strawman me, they can misunderstand me, misquote me, just over and over and over again before it's like, all right, you're out of here. Hello, how you doing? Hello. Okay, Jessera, thank you for coming up. Moving on, let's see who we got next. We have quite a few people in the queue, so we are going to get another debate going. But look, that guy was just trolling, basically. He didn't even realize it, right? I mean, honestly, He just didn't make any sense. Look, I can debate him again if you guys really want, but it was painful. Hello.
Is it logically possible that there is a greater good in the suffering? There's a greater good. There's a purpose. There's a reason. It's necessary for some.
It's irrational to allow suffering on the basis that something might justify it one day.
Is it logically possible that something might justify it one day?
I would say that it's irrational to pursue that line of thought.
So you're not answering that. You don't know if it's logically possible.
If you walk past a child being abused and say, maybe this will work out to be a good thing, then yeah, you are irrational. You are insane.
So you're not answering. So then no. So you're saying it's logically impossible that there's a greater good or a greater purpose, right? There's absolutely no possible way.
The thing is, Jordan, is that would imply that there is some sort of intelligence orchestrating all of this.
Can you just answer the question, or you're having difficulties with this one? Hey, you're so smart.
Could it be for the greater good? Potentially, yeah.
Great. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
But again, you would have to be extraordinarily, insane to, see some child abuse and say, maybe this is a good thing, right? maybe this will be for the greater good.
No,
we shouldn't stop that child abuse because maybe it's for the greater good. Jordan, everybody, and his fantastic opinions. How responsible. Okay, Avery is saying the host is a stupid person. Well, say that to my face. Okay, say it to my face. Look, there's lots of people in the chat saying the host is stupid, the host can't debate. Say it to my face, right? Say it to my face. Let's bring you up. But like that other guy a few guests ago, he got destroyed immediately and left, and that will happen to everyone. So yeah, you can talk smack in the chat, but we know that you can't actually defend your positions. And if you can, then come and debate. Hello, how you doing?
You're in a cult. You're in a cult. You're in a cult.
That's not an argument. That's not an argument. Okay, that's not an argument. There's no logic there. There's nothing for me to work with. That's just an ad hominem. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, dude? So I was wondering, like, what's up with this movement? Why do you think it's right?
Yeah, it's because we understand that suffering is too extreme and terrible to allow, and that we should care about all of those that are suffering, and also provide a universal system of safety that guarantees that nobody is being tortured.
I honestly agree with that. I know a lot of people don't agree with you, but I honestly had my skeptics about it.
Yeah, it really is as simple as saying that nobody deserves to suffer. We should make it so that everybody is safe from suffering, and everybody benefits from this, really.
A lot of people have suffered throughout life, throughout generations, and I don't know how humans have not evolved to see that if one person suffers, we cannot be at peace.
Yeah, well, it's the opposite. We evolved to ignore the suffering of others. Empathy is one of the most dangerous things for life, right? Empathy is what extinctionists have. And what are we doing with it? We're saying that life is unacceptable. It causes extreme harm. So evolution has made us blind to the suffering of others and to our own suffering. So we're actually all in danger of infinite risk of extreme suffering. Like, it's unlimited, it's infinite. And nobody ever thinks about that because we evolved to ignore it completely, to live in a little bubble where everything's fine and nobody is suffering. We're not going to suffer.
Everybody thinks that.
That's how you you wind up a little toy like that and it'll go and reproduce, basically. That's
all really comfortable. Yes. Yeah. Oh, damn, James. I don't know about it. I'm starting to believe more in your movement. I appreciate what you're doing right here. Thank you, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you should learn more about it. You can watch all of I have 65 episodes of my TikTok live streams with debates now on YouTube. You can go to Universal Extinction on YouTube and watch all 65 episodes. And you can learn more. But you should also join the Discord, join the Pro-Extinction Movement Discord. Google search Abolish Suffering Discord or go on my profile. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, I'm doing great. I just have one question. Why this solution over any other?
That's a great question. So it's actually possible to sterilize the entire universe using technology. It could be possible, right? It could be possible, and we are going to try to do it. But you don't need omniscience to do that, right? You don't have to be a god to sterilize some place and make sure that life doesn't exist there. Whereas you would have to be a god, you would require omniscience to provide certainty of safety from suffering without extinction, right? Life should never exist without absolute certainty of safety, because the alternative is quite literally infinite risk of extreme suffering. If you can't account for every single last unknown, if there are still unknowns, then that presents an infinite risk, basically.
All right. So you think the food chain shouldn't exist?
No life should exist. No life and no possibility of life ever again.
Okay. Well, that's just dumb and you're in a cult.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you coming up. So, as usual, we want to get some spicy debates going. We want some more spicy debates. Yeah, we want the drama, but people are too afraid to do it, right? So if you're
Hey,
talking smack in the chat, join the queue. Hello, how you doing?
hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So I was mostly like wondering how you are going to actualize this solution or plan. Like, how is it realistically going to be implemented? Like, I don't really see it being very realistic.
Yeah, so we have to grow the movement to make it possible, basically. That's the first step. And we're working on lots of different avenues and solutions for that. But yeah, I mean, that's the same with any societal change in history. It's often taken a movement, growing that movement to put pressure on and to take power, potentially, revolution even. So yeah.
Okay. But do you actually believe that we can sort of reach everybody in the world? Because essentially that's what is needed to be done in order for this to actually be possible.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, it's not about if it's possible. Yeah, anything is possible, but we can't guarantee that we'll be successful. We have to try our best.
Okay. And you mentioned that we shouldn't end reproduction right now because we have to save the animals first. Like, how, like, can you explain that a bit more? Like,
Yeah, so if humanity goes extinct first, then animals will continue to suffer for billions of years terribly, even worse than we do. So, humanity continuing temporarily for a few hundred years or however long it takes to help animals is nothing compared to billions of years of suffering that we can prevent.
all right. All right, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming up.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, let's see who's next. We've got Bill Nye, the science guy, joining us next. Bill Nye, the science guy. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? Do you have any questions?
Yes, I just like realistically, like I know you were talking with the recent guy that you would have to get everybody on board, but
No,
I
we
think
don't
like
have to get
just
everybody on board. Nothing has ever worked like that in the history of the planet. There's never been
yeah,
100% agreement. In
was
fact,
just was
most of
gonna
the
say
time, you only need like 1% of the population in order to take power, because the vast majority will just sit at home and do nothing, basically.
wait, what do you mean? Can you explain that?
Most times that there's a revolution, the vast majority of the population will stay at home and do nothing, and only a small percentage will come out and do activism or do a revolution, whatever. The active
Yeah,
people is a very small percentage, but it still works.
how would that work though if you need technology? Like also that is what I was also gonna ask. Like with the people who are in charge of technology right now, how would you even get them to side with? I think they're not really on the side of humanity right now. I don't understand how that would make sense or even be possible, honestly, with like people who are in charge of technology. And also, I would also argue that suffering is kind of just inevitable to like things that we experience that we think is like happy or like it's inevitable to like every species no matter what. I think even if humans, animals, everything were to go extinct, plants, trees. Hold on. They're all still kind of living. Like,
Yeah, we should get
wouldn't
rid
you
of the
say that
plants
they
as
would
well.
also?
They have to go as well.
But I mean, the Earth is also like a plant itself. Like it
No,
literally
the Earth isn't a plant.
generates plants.
Yeah, but that's why we need to
So
do
how would that make
prevention.
sense if the Earth is still here?
Yeah, so we need to do prevention of life as well. And that means that's the bigger job, right? Removing life from a planet is easy, relatively speaking. The hard part is making sure it never comes back. But life comes from energy from the sun. So even if we just did like
Yeah.
a permanent eclipse of the planet with an artificial moon, which the technology already exists for, by the way. So even
But
something
who's
like
going
that.
to do that if we're extinct? Sorry, I interrupted.
Well, we
but-
could do. Well, I mean, we could either do it ourselves, or we can rely on AI and robots to do it for us.
Yeah, but because you said that we need to get rid of animals and all of these things first, then get rid of humans. But how would that make sense? How would we prevent the Earth, like prevent life, if we had an eclipse for the Earth? How would that make sense if we're going to be extinct?
Well, we shouldn't go extinct until we've finished doing everything we can do.
I mean,
So even
but,
if we have
like,
to stay alive for thousands of years, it's still the right thing to do.
the right thing to do, I mean, it's subjected to everybody, you know? Like, I guess I'm asking, like, what is your authority, like, to say that, like, it's
Well, but if
everybody
you go
should
down that
just...
route of thinking, then nobody can do anything ever.
Well, I mean, in a way, yes. But
It
also,
doesn't
I
work.
wanted
It doesn't
to
make
answer...
sense. It's not a good system. Nobody can do anything ever. Not a good system.
Yeah, but also about my question about like with the technology, how would we even, that doesn't even like, I don't see a plan of that ever working with the people who are in charge of it, like genuinely.
Well, yeah, we have to take over. We have to carry out a revolution, take power, start running the world ethically.
Yeah, so like your extinction, like that, all total extinction, that's like a plan way down the road. But I think what like humanity people need to be more concerned about is taking action right now to like stopping the people who are corrupt right now. And I know that's a different topic, but I'm saying like I don't
That's not going to
understand
work.
why.
It's not going to work. Life is the problem, right? So most of the suffering in the world is in nature, not in society.
Yes, but you just like kind of admitted right now that like we would have to take over, right?
Yeah.
So then why is like I think we should be focusing more
that's
on
it.
that.
We need to do that anyway. So yeah, we do need to take over.
Yes, but why should innocent people have to go extinct without their consent? Because of other people who have gone corrupt.
It's for the safety of themselves and others. They present a danger to themselves and others. So unless you have total extinction, you're going to always have the unlucky ones basically suffering terribly and realizing that it was a mistake to stay alive.
Oh, I'm 18. Someone asked in the chat. I don't know.
You don't think that's possible?
I think that genuinely, I don't. Like I understand the nihilistic thinking of it. I do understand. You know, I understand.
Explain.
I just don't think that people would allow it to happen.
You're not
like,
explaining. You're dodging.
Well, what do you want me to explain?
Yeah. So you said that there is no risk of them suffering terribly, right?
No. I'm saying that I don't think people would allow total extinction to happen. Like, I would say that like
Well, of course not.
would be
Of
so
course
against
they
the
won't.
idea.
That's obvious. But we have to try and solve that problem for the sake of the sufferers, right? We shouldn't look for excuses. We should just try and do everything that we can.
No, like I understand it. I understand the whole theory and everything, like to end all suffering. But at the same time, like it's to me, I see a parallel between like people who abuse religion with it and say that we need to get everybody on board with this to try and like fix humanity and all these things, and it's never worked. Like, why is it that your authority
but movements and revolutions do work.
But it's not.
But when you say it's never worked,
I understand
when
that.
you say it's never worked, again, that's coming back to your sort of ignorance, where you think that You know, nothing ever happens, nothing ever works, no one can ever do anything, right? That's not the way the world works.
I mean, that's not how I think the world works. I'm just saying.
But yeah,
Wait,
I'm
hold
hearing a
on.
lot of
I'll be
irrational
right back.
thoughts
Hold
here.
on.
Bill Nye, thank you for coming up. Maybe we can have you on again later, but we're going to keep the show going. Yeah, all right. So moving on to Shiru next time. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, hi.
Hello.
So my question is, what of people in the movement who think that they want to have a child-free lifestyle, but they still want to be in the movement?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So in the same way that we allow vegans and non-vegans into the movement, it's the same thing. The important thing is doing activism for extinction and the end of suffering. Lifestyle doesn't have too much of a difference in that, and we try to not, obsess and focus on all of the little things that you do in your life. The main suffering, the biggest suffering that we should focus on is extinction, basically. But yeah, we don't allow our activists to advocate or support being child-free and anti-natalist. Now, you can absolutely say, yes, you can be child-free and you can be an extinction activist. That is correct. But you can't advocate for it and support it and say that it's a good thing. Because again, if you're supporting human extinction by antinatalism, then that literally goes against helping animals who are suffering in worse numbers, basically. Worse suffering and greater numbers. So yeah, humanity has to continue temporarily, just for as long as it takes to help other life, like animals. So, antinatalism is about understanding that, yeah, life is too bad for anything to exist and suffer. But then antinatalism doesn't help any life, right? It's doing nothing. Not having a child is literally doing nothing, right? It doesn't help any other children. It doesn't help any animals. It's literally doing nothing and then pretending that you're a good person. Now, I'm not saying that because I think that having kids is great or anything. Obviously that's not the case. I'm against life. But I am in favor of giving everything to help make extinction possible. And so that's why our members are donating sperm, because extinctionism is a genetic thing. It's about having more rationality, more empathy, more intelligence than Becky down the street having 20 kids and, smoking herself to death. So yeah, having kids is a good thing for extinction. The more people we have, actually, the more, our science and technology is going to progress and advance and help us make it possible to end animal suffering faster. So, imagine if we only had 1,000 people on the planet. Doing total animal extinction would be almost impossible. So the more people we have, the more capable we are, the faster we can do animal extinction and then move on to everything else after that. Okay, moving on. We have more people in the queue, lots of people. So I'm going to try and bring some up. I'm going to go straight to the bottom of the queue and I'm going to bring up like 3 or 4 people in the hopes that one will accept. Okay, I think we've got somebody. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm just like, I agree with you, actually. I'm just wondering about the people like that want to debate it. Like, there's no debating that suffering is good. I don't even understand what they're trying to get through with that.
Crazy.
Like, how can you, like, that guy who said that, like, maybe it's for the greater good, how can, like, child abuse be for the greater good? It makes no sense. It's so weird.
I've heard that argument a few times, that exact argument a few times, where they say, maybe it'll all be for the greater good that we can't see right now. And it's like, so what, you would walk past someone punching a child in the face and say, maybe it's for the greater good, right? It's the most irresponsible position possible.
Yeah, and it's so many things like that, and they just say it's for the greater good. How's that possible? Like, I don't get it.
And even if it somehow turns out to be for the greater good, it doesn't mean that we should allow it, right? We have to do what's responsible today, right? We can't just be irresponsible. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so, like, I don't get it. But
as you said, I'm just wondering also about, you said that like AI and robots could do like the extension for us. Do you think that like maybe like the AIs could like be alive and then the suffering would continue? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I believe it is possible to design AI in a way where it's definitely not conscious. You know, for example, ChatGPT is not conscious, right? If you look into the science of it, it's almost definitely not conscious. But even if our AI does suffer and is conscious,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to suffer the same way that animals are suffering. It's not going to be getting diseases. It's not going to get eaten alive, and it's not going to have a nervous system, right?
Yeah.
That basically just tortures you. It's most likely going to be. I would imagine it would have zero pain, basically.
Yeah, that'd be good then. I also want to ask, like, where can I join? I really want to join.
Yeah, so you can go to my TikTok profile and you can go on the link in my bio. There's a link to the website. You can read about us. There's a link to the Discord. So join the Discord and become an activist. That's where all of our activists are. We have hundreds of people, hundreds of activists in the Discord. You can come and talk to them, continue the conversation there. And we invite everyone to the Discord. You can Google search Abolish Suffering Discord and you can come and join. And we also have a WhatsApp group. The link is on the website.
Thanks. Cheers. See ya.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. And I hope to start seeing you making videos for extinction. That's the whole point of my activism, is to get new activists on board to grow the movement. That's the only reason I'm doing this. It's not for fun. It's specifically to grow the movement, to get new activists on, making videos and getting them to grow the movement as well. Okay, so that system is working. That's how activism works. That's how growing a movement or a political party or whatever works. And it is working. We have dozens of people doing activism. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I had a few questions about your whole activism thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so like first off, if you want to end suffering by ending all life, then what about the people who enjoy suffering? Well, not enjoy suffering, but enjoy that suffering is a part of life which brings good as a consequence.
So if someone enjoys being murdered, should we make murder legal?
Okay, no, Ben, that's an extremity. I mean, people have everyday struggles
Yeah,
of
but suffering is
finances, everyday
extreme.
struggles.
Suffering is extreme. So we shouldn't make suffering legal and allow it just because a small minority of weirdos enjoy it.
But then the minorities are people who get murdered. The majorities are people who have slight hardships like finances.
Yeah.
So then what about them? Like, what's your overall goal? Get
The thing is,
over 50% of humanity.
You can't make the world safe where nobody suffers and allow for these, crazy people that like suffering, which doesn't exist, by the way. It's not even a real thing. Right? There is nobody that enjoys being tortured horrifically. And even if some people enjoy pain, there definitely is types of suffering that they won't enjoy. 100% definitely. Because that's how the human brain works, right? So even if there's a tiny minority, even if there are a few people that enjoy extreme suffering, they still have to go extinct because they pose a threat to other life as well and to themselves again, right? They're definitely ignorant to the extreme suffering that they won't enjoy, and they also could reproduce and create more life that will suffer as well. So you can't make exceptions. Only total extinction guarantees total safety.
Okay, well, I mean, that's a very, very, very interesting standpoint. But like, what do you think about the people who don't want to go extinct, clearly, since there'll be people who obviously disagree with you and that'll be the majority?
It's the exact same answer. They are in infinite danger and would be better off not being in that danger. They're not actually accounting for that danger. And if they were, then they wouldn't want to be in it. So, yeah, life evolved to essentially put itself into infinite danger against its own best interest and to not care about it, to not understand it. So we have to make the rational decision for life, which can't help itself, which has been programmed by nature to go against its own best interests.
Okay, well, I'm sure I won't be able to sway you, so thanks for showing me your point of view.
Okay, yeah, thanks for coming up. But again, don't just say, "Oh, I don't think I can debate against this," or "I won't be able to change your opinion." Give us your reasoning, right? Give us your logic. If you can't debate, then you must accept that you might be wrong, right? And that I might be right, okay? If you can't raise a, look, like George, for example, if you can't raise a single word against extinction, you have to consider that it might be the right thing. Cora is saying, James, can you really imagine doing that? Maybe.
Yo,
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing bad, but it doesn't matter. So I was asking, so like, what's the main topic of the live? Is it like debating you about like why is it good to end suffering, or?
Yeah, you can ask questions, we can discuss, or we can debate, whatever you want. So, I mean, I can start us off. Would you support total extinction so as to guarantee no more suffering?
No, because that would mean my extinction as well in my family, right?
So, is there any amount of moral obligation that you would comply with, right? If there's just trillions of beings being tortured, would you still allow that for your own benefit?
Well, I mean, do I want to sound edgy and corny and like wow, psychopathic, or because
I just want your honest answer.
Because honestly, like babies are being murdered in the Congo right now, but I'm still gonna enjoy my dessert in like 20 minutes. I'm still gonna watch a football game and like just talk to someone. Like at the end, you don't really care about people suffering, right?
I do.
Well, if you do, then like you seem pretty happy. Like I see you smile sometimes in the videos. You don't really care that much, really.
So what? Giving up my life to do activism to end suffering? That's not really. Doesn't show that I really care about suffering.
Yeah, but like the thing is, first of all, it's unrealistic because it's never gonna happen.
All right. Well, that's you're dodging the question, right? We're not talking about that. You're changing subject.
Okay, but so you don't enjoy life.
Not okay, but right. Stop dodging.
Yeah, I acknowledge that I dodged the.
All right,
the
Schwoops,
subject.
you're
I
done.
acknowledge
You're
it.
done. Okay, you're done. You're finished. You're out of here. Okay, moving on. Let's hope we can find a smarter guest, someone that can use logic and intelligence. Jared, hello.
Hi. Sorry, are you hearing me?
Yes. How you doing?
Hi. So, what do you mean when you say total extinction of all life is the only right thing to do to end all suffering?
Well, you see, suffering is too extreme and terrible to allow. It's not fair, actually. So, we grow up thinking that we should just ignore them, but that's wrong.
Wait, so then I'd also like to ask, so why do you get to decide what is right? Or, what is right to allow certain sorts of suffering?
Yeah, so having intelligence means that we all get to decide, right? You're deciding to allow the suffering, I'm deciding not to allow the suffering.
So why exactly do you think you're right then? If we all get to decide, then should it not be in the lives of the individuals to decide whether to end their own suffering?
Are you an anarchist?
I wouldn't say so. I mean,
right.
You'd have to explain
that's not how the world works, right? Yeah, everyone decides for themselves is not a realistic way for the world to work.
Right. So, but you're saying that forcefully causing total extinction of all life is the only right thing to do. But you're also saying that everyone gets to decide for themselves. But you forcefully causing total extinction is taking away the right for other people. So what are you saying?
Well, decide about what for themselves exactly?
Because total extinction would imply that my right to exist would also be given up.
Yes.
And that's the argument that you're making. So you'd be taking away my right to choose. So how
when you say your right to choose, that doesn't exist. Where do you get that right from?
For example, what do you mean? Where did I get that right from? If I'm suffering, for example, and let's say my suffering is so hard.
You have a right to exist. Where did you get it from?
The fact that I'm alive, the fact that I have
that's not a very
the fact that I have the will to exercise my freedom of my free will.
So what, a child abuser can just exercise their free will if they want?
Yes, they can. That's the society that we live in. And then we, as a collective, we say, hey, you know what? I don't want to live in a society where that happens. So we inflict we selfishly, but
what are you talking about,
ultimately
Jared?
it is for what we consider the greater good.
Jared, you're not making sense here.
Okay, what exactly am I not making sense with?
So you're saying that everyone should be able to do whatever they want, right?
I'm not saying everyone should be able to. I am saying everyone is able to. As an individual, you have the
that's
right
obvious,
to do what
Jared.
you
That's
want.
obvious. That's irrelevant, right? You're dodging the question, right? You've moved on to something completely silly and irrelevant.
No.
I know
That
that
is the
everyone
question
can
that
do
you
whatever they
asked.
want. I can lift my finger. I can put it up and down. That's
Exactly.
not relevant to whether we should do it.
No, you're
Jared,
asking
thank you,
what is
thank
the.
you, Jared. You're
All
done.
right, bro.
You're done. You're done. Okay, you can't argue. You're done. Okay, you're dodging questions. You're not answering. You're not debating properly. You can't do it. Next person. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, English is not my first language, so I just want to ask you, what is the axiom that you use for your moral code? Mine is survival of the human race. What is yours?
Yeah, I don't really use axioms. That's, for crazy people.
I'm sorry, but how do you build a moral code if you don't put an axiom on it?
I mean, not everyone has to deal with axioms, right? Or to consciously deal with axioms.
Okay,
So,
then
so yeah, I mean, there's loads of reasons to support total extinction, loads of them, right? Obviously, I can list loads of reasons to support total extinction. Nobody should have to suffer. Everybody should be safe. We shouldn't have an unfair system where some are being tortured so that others can have fun. Nobody deserves to exist in infinite danger, which they didn't ask for, right? So there's loads of reasons to support extinction and the end of all suffering.
and there is loads of reasons against that. If you can't code a moral code for yourself to build your logical argument for the total extinction, then how can we argue? You can have your opinion, I can have mine, but at the end of the day, to compare, it's not a matter of comparing, it's a matter of finding conflict in our arguments.
Okay, well, let's argue then. Okay, so I think that nobody deserves to suffer. We should make it so that everybody is safe from suffering.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree as well, if you agree, that we should minimize suffering, not eliminate it.
So when you said you agree with me, that was just
on minimizing suffering.
Well, I never said we
totally
should do that. I
eliminate
said we should, remove it, eliminate it, abolish it.
Okay, how are you going
So
to
again,
abolish it?
you're not having a proper discussion here. You're talking to someone else that's saying something different. You're not
Okay,
listening.
then-
You're not paying attention.
Again, what are you saying?
Well, I shouldn't have to keep repeating myself. You're not paying attention. That's it. You're done. Look, what's the point of having a conversation with someone that's not paying attention? They're just clearly not listening, talking past me, and people are like, "Oh my God, the host got cooked. He kicked that person out." Yeah, because it's like talking to a pigeon. Hello, how you doing?
Yes, I believe you are a dangerous person,
Good.
and
I take
if
that
you
as a
want
compliment.
to extinct all life, how come you don't start with yourself though? What? Well,
So
you're
when you say
advocating.
start with yourself, right?
Well, I'm not telling you literally like do that. I'm saying.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm saying,
Let me ask you a
what
question.
you believe. Yeah.
So when you say start with yourself, right? Usually when you start something, you're going to carry on and continue. So I don't think I'd be able to do that if I start with myself. So you wouldn't achieve total extinction.
Well, why would you want something for other people that you don't want for yourself?
So if
Why?
you saw,
It
if
seems
you
like
saw
some
that
conspiracy-ish. Like you want to extinct those who are not as powerful as you. You want to. It's
not
like
about
fine.
that.
Start at your class level. Start at
Total extinction doesn't create class divide, right? You can't extinct specific people. Extinction refers to the entire species. Total extinction refers to all life, basically. So it's not about I don't like you, I'm going to extinct you. That's again the caliber of people that are coming on here, the caliber of arguments that we're dealing with. It's actually mentally distressing to hear that such insanity coming out of people. It's truly shocking. Hello, how you doing?
Doing really good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
There was something that I thought was really interesting. I've been researching a lot about this movement for quite a while to kind of understand the foundation. And I wanted to bring up something, if you don't mind, that I thought was quite interesting. And I just want to get your thoughts on it, if you don't mind. Is it fine?
Yeah,
cool. Well, one of the things that I thought was kind of ironic about the movement is the parallels to religion. Here you have a fall, which in this case is existence and suffering, original sin, which is reproduction, salvation, which is non-existence, and I guess the
Yeah.
peace and
Okay.
bliss and
Look,
safety.
if you want to do a Bible show, go and do it. Right. We're not here for you to preach Jesus to us. We're not interested. Go and take that real cult elsewhere. This is not a cult. Yeah, I'm sorry that we're not interested in hearing you preach the Bible. If that offends you, then again, go and find a religious live stream and go and talk about Jesus with them. Okay, we're going to be doing the responsible thing and taking care of all the suffering in the world while you go and read the Bible. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Good night.
Yeah, hi. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So on the thing about extinction, why extinction though?
It's the only way to guarantee no more suffering, to make sure everyone's safe.
But it's our current known way, or only current known way. You get what I'm saying?
So what, we should just not go with the current known solution?
I mean, we'll keep existing for now and find a better way would be better.
Well, if you're going to allow children to be tortured, then we're going to need more details on that, more specifics.
I'm sorry.
Like I thought, this there's no thought gone into that position, right? Zero thought. It's like, yeah, children are being tortured, animals are being tortured, people are being tortured, but let's just ignore it and go with. Let's make we've already got a solution. We could help them, but let's just make a new solution. Okay, what are the details on this? I don't know. What kind of responsible thought process is that? It doesn't make any sense. It's like the guy that said, what if this is all for the greater good? What if child abuse is actually a good thing? It's like, this is not a responsible position. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. I'm totally agree with people being instinct, but I'm not really agree with animals also being instinct. I understand your point about suffering, and I agree with it, but I guess it's more of a philosophy question, because people do stuff intentionally, like with the meaning of actually like doing bad things. Animals do things out of survival, basically, and it's nature.
You discriminate based on the source of the suffering.
No, it's not discrimination. I mean,
it's saying you deserve to suffer and you don't.
No, I don't say that. Don't put. Well,
yeah, you're saying that if it's not done if someone doesn't make you suffer on purpose, then it's okay.
No, I'm not saying that. You didn't even let me finish my point.
You are saying that, though. You are saying that wild animals deserve to suffer.
No, I haven't finished my point.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay. I'm not saying that anyone deserves suffering, but at the same time, there are species that are not suffering.
Like what?
For example, there are a lot of fish that just live their lives, eat their food without like a natural predator.
And what does evolution do?
It's survival of the fittest.
No, it changes life, right? It changes things, so it can make them suffer more. So you're just completely ignorant to that.
And some things are not changing. Like there are species that didn't change for centuries.
So why do animals deserve to suffer?
I'm not saying they deserve to suffer. I'm saying that.
Okay, why should we let them suffer?
I'm saying we can leave the species that are not suffering.
I'm asking you a question and you're ignoring it, right? Because you can't answer. You're afraid to answer. You're afraid to tell the truth about how you really feel. So I'm going to ask you one more time, and then I'm going to kick you if you don't answer again.
Okay.
Okay, so why should we let animals suffer?
Do you, again...
Elizabeth, thank you.
Yes.
I said, if you dodge the question again, you will be kicked. So, yeah, you had your shot. You blew it. Okay, let's get back to the queue. We have loads of people in the queue. We also have quite a few trolls in the queue, and people that I've kicked during this show. And we're gonna get them back on. We're gonna go for round 2. So yeah, I'm all about round 2. Okay, look, if I kick you out and you're really upset about it, get back in the queue. And when we run out of people and we get desperate, we'll get back to you. Okay, speaking of which, we're going to try and get Jared back up if he's still here. Let's see, who else could we get back up? Quite a lot of people waiting in the queue. Schwoops wants to come back up. Yeah, we could do Schwoops. Who else? Hello, how you doing? Oh, whoops. Let's get Schwoops back up. Okay, Schwoops, hello.
Yo, so I wonder why I was kicked in the first time, because like it made me a little bit upset.
Well, that suffering can help you grow.
Well, I didn't really suffer. I mean,
You said you were upset.
yeah, but being upset is not necessarily suffering. Besides, what is like? Give me a reason why humans should be extinct. Give me one good reason.
So that they're safe from suffering.
And why do we need to be safe from suffering? Why does everyone need to be safe from suffering?
Why should we be safe from suffering? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
sure.
great question.
Yeah,
Well, why would we want to be safe from being tortured horrifically? I don't know.
Well,
Crazy,
well,
isn't it?
when you're tortured, basically molecules from some devices interact with molecules from your body, making electrical signals in your brain, which are pain. Those electrical signals are just transfer of energy, just like transfer of energy goes when you throw stone into water and it goes into waves of energy. It's called waves.
So abusing others is okay then?
It's not okay and it's not bad. It just is. Goodness is not a thing.
So it's not bad. So child abuse isn't bad.
It's not bad.
Whoops, thank you for that ridiculous opinion. You're out of here. You're done. Look, if you're going to come up and start encouraging child abuse, you bet you're going to be kicked out of here, right? And someone's saying he's based. Well, I'm going to actually ban you from the stream. You'll never be able to watch the stream ever again. If you're literally going to support child abuse and encourage it, you will be banned permanently, right? You can't come up here and say child abuse isn't bad. That will get you kicked and banned, rightfully so. Why should we not ban people that say child abuse is not bad? Why? But this just proves my point, right? That the world is full of crazy people, and everyone's saying, "Oh, James, are you sure this is ethical? Are you sure this is moral?" And then, the status quo, the default of this world is people saying that child abuse isn't bad. We should let animals suffer. Yes, extinction is ethical. Zero suffering is the only ethical thing. It shouldn't be hard to understand. Okay, let's see who else we got. Islam Ali is in the queue. I'm going to try and bring them up. We do need more people to jump in the queue, so get on that.
Hey.
Hello, how you doing?
So, who does my life belong to?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I would say it belongs to myself, and I would say it's unethical and immoral for you to force me to kill myself.
Okay, why? And also, we don't want you to do that either, by the way. So we're not actually advocating for self-harm.
The first line is forcefully causing total extinction. How are you going to enforce this forceful total extinction?
With force.
Yeah, that's unethical and immoral.
Why?
Because I'm in charge of my own life.
So if the police tackle a criminal who thinks he's in charge of his own life, is that unethical? And
that
immoral?
criminal forfeit his right to his freedom when he committed the crime. You can forfeit your rights when you act against them.
Yeah, no, that's a very simplistic way of thinking, right?
No, it's not. It's it's actually the most rational way that's ended suffering for most of human history.
So that freedom that you're saying that is really important to you, why should we give you the freedom to the same freedom that allows you to torture others?
Yeah, that freedom goes away when I torture others, when I impose.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. What do you mean? We arrest people all the time.
Really, Islam. So no one's ever gotten away with torture.
In a rational society, it's not just. No, in corrupt places
you're not
where
answering the question.
Hold on. I am answering the question. Don't kick me out. Questions aren't yes or no. They have explanations.
Islam,
and the explanation
you are dodging the questions, right? You are dodging the questions. I said, so what, no one's ever gotten away with torture? and he said, in a rational society, we won't allow that. I didn't ask that question, right? You're dodging the question. You can't answer it. You're finished. You're done. You have been owned. So, look, when we talk about people being irrational and humans being irrational, and there is no argument against extinction, the best way to see it is when they say crazy things like that.
Okay, bro. Hello.
Yes, hello. How you doing?
So why do you think this, like, forcefully causing total extinction? Why do you want to end suffering in the first place? What's the point of it?
It's to help those who are suffering and to protect everyone from extreme suffering.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but like, I want to live my life, enjoy, and even though I suffer.
So what if?
So you're saying forcefully, right? Let me talk. You're saying you will forcefully cause extinction. So isn't that like, you get it? Like, why would you forcefully do it if people don't want to? That's just clearly unethical.
So is that more unethical than allowing extreme suffering?
While there is suffering, there is also a lot of people who enjoy
ethically
life.
and morally,
There is
your life
also
is more
enjoyable
important.
things you can do in life except suffering.
Okay, so when an animal is being tortured to death, how does that fit into what you just said?
Just because there exists suffering, you cannot forcefully make the entire species extinct.
Why not?
Because it's against their wills. A lot of them don't want to get killed.
But things are usually done against people's wills. So if your will being respected, it was actually the way this world worked, it would look very differently. So you're not living in the real world.
No, like, listen. When
You're not living
suffering
in the real
is done
world.
to some people, like the cartel, they torture people a lot. I understand that. But at the same time, there is people who enjoy their life. Like
So
me and
do
my
you
father.
think that if
Do you
someone?
think we are going to give up our life's hard work?
Yeah, let me ask you this: if you got to go to heaven, and in exchange you have to send an innocent person to hell, would you do it?
Can you say that again?
I said, if you got to go to heaven and all you had to do was send an innocent person to hell, would you do it?
No.
Right. So obviously it's wrong, isn't it? And that's the same thing. So yeah, you shouldn't get to go to heaven. You shouldn't get to have your life if it means others are being tortured.
Yeah, but I really don't believe in heaven or hell.
Yeah, neither do I. I was using it to help you understand.
Yeah, that kind of extreme suffering that does not happen on Earth. No,
Really?
no, listen.
There's no
It
extreme
does.
suffering on
There
Earth.
is-
There's no extreme
the
suffering on Earth.
hell
Wow.
is.
That's
No, I'm
amazing.
not saying like compared to hell.
Right, but you think that there is amazing pleasure.
What?
Okay, so let's say that this is real life, okay? And you've got like heaven is up here, hell is down there, right, in terms of how bad it is. I would say that the suffering in this world is still pretty bad, right? But the pleasure is basically not that high, whereas the suffering is that bad. So the suffering is definitely more extreme than the pleasure is extreme, right?
Yeah, but bro, at the same time, as I said, there is people who don't want to get killed.
But what they're going to do is
That's
reproduce
literally it.
and force others to suffer, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's
so they don't
inevitable.
want to suffer, right? So we have to protect them. And this will just keep going for billions of years unless we
Yeah,
break
but
the
you're doing
cycle.
it anyway. You're killing them.
What do you mean doing
Isn't
it
that
anyway?
also suffering?
Well, yeah, but it's less suffering than to let it go on for billions of years.
It sounds like a good idea on paper, but in real life, some people would beat you to death if you said something like this, because there is billions of
Yeah,
people.
but I'm not scared. I'm not scared of doing the right thing. You're not going to intimidate me into being a bad person.
I'm not intimidating you or threatening you.
You're
I'm
saying
just
that I
saying
should
that
be
there
too
is
scared
people
to do the right thing.
that I'm just saying that there is people who enjoy.
Yeah, again,
life,
you're
and
intimidating
just because
me,
there
right?
is. Just because there exists suffering does not mean you have the right to take away the life of others. You
So,
don't
so,
decide what they
so
do.
let me ask you this, right? Do you think that there's like a ratio of how much suffering to how much pleasure there should be? What if like 49% of the population is screaming in pain, needs help? Should the 51% just ignore them and say, just because they're suffering, why should I care?
Yeah, I think in that case, then everyone should die. But that's not
Okay.
what's happening.
But that is what's happening, right? So there is extreme suffering, and no suffering is acceptable. But you clearly think some is. So how much do you think is acceptable? How many children being abused? So if I want to, have a happy life, no, let's say a child gets abused to death and murdered, right? How much ice cream do I have to lick and enjoy to make it balance out?
Just because someone is suffering, it does not give you the right to take away someone
answering my
else's life.
question. You're not answering my question. I'm saying how much suffering is acceptable.
You do not have the right to take away someone's life.
So you can't answer the question.
No, because
Right.
your question
Well, then you're
is
done,
nonsense.
aren't you? You're done. You can't answer the question because you know you're wrong. You know you are wrong. You cannot argue against it. You're actively hiding from the question, like, oh my God, that question is coming at me. Get it away from me. You can't answer the question because you know you're wrong. Okay? And you will be kicked. All right. Let's see who we've got next. Mom Stealer coming up next. Hello, how you doing?
Hi again.
Hello.
Hi. I had questions, right? But then not on the same debate topic before. It's more about what's the foundation of your ideas? How do you think you could realistically achieve it? Because let's be honest, it's a bit hard to actually think most people would agree and come to a conclusion and say that they want to end suffering completely. And like, why do you think this and how do you think it ties in with free will?
Yeah, you don't need most people. Most societal changes have not required most people. And yeah, most don't require or involve most people. Most change is done with a minority.
Okay, but then how do you think you could realistically do that? I could say that I can start a coup with a minority, but at the same time, you need a plan. I need to get weapons, I need to go to a government. You need
but we don't need to worry about that just yet. Right? We know it's all possible and doable, but it's not the time for it right now. We have to grow the movement first.
Okay, but do you think actually growing the movement is achievable?
Well, it's by default achievable. It's already working.
Okay, and then other question was, what's the foundation of this? What made you start thinking in this manner?
I realized that the world was, imperfect and that we should make it perfect. And, if you actually start looking into it, then eventually you reach this conclusion. But most people do not have the will, the desire, the motivation to actually look into improving the world when they're focused on their own life, basically.
Okay, and then also when you say end all suffering and all life, do you mean only animals or does that include all biodiversity, including plants? Do you want to end everything?
Yeah, everything. So the most thorough extinction is one where there's just like absolutely no possibility of life ever again.
Okay, well, thanks for answering my questions, that's all.
Yeah, I appreciate your questions. Thank you for coming up. Okay, loads more people in the queue to get through, so we're going to crack on. Hello. Okay, some microphone issues there, perhaps. Let's see who else we got. We have El Papiador. Hello.
Hello, my friend. I have a question just for first. How do you measure the value of the life? Do you see any value on life, or you think that life is meaningless and doesn't have any value?
Yeah, life has value, which is why we should care about it, right? And
okay,
if you value life, then you want it to...
You're talking about extinction, you're talking about ending the life. It's like ending the value. It cannot be valuable if it's death. Death is the end of the value of normal life. So saying that you see value on life, but you want extinction is totally stupid because you want to end a thing that you
Yeah,
seem to
there's
care
there's more to
about.
life than just valuing things for no reason, though. Well,
What do
maybe
you
not
mean
for you.
exactly?
Maybe not for you. Maybe that's all there is to life for you. But that's just value things for no reason.
But life, in after all, is valuable, man. If you take a look to it, most of the population doesn't even suffer in the way you're describing. Most
So
of the
how many is too many?
population doesn't
How
even
many is too
suffer.
many? How much should have to suffer before we care?
I don't know how to explain this to you because, man.
Yeah, because you just don't care. You'll never care.
Yeah, because it will be stupid. Why should I care about what others got affected to?
Yeah,
If
because
it's
you're
not
a
affecting
selfish
me, it's okay.
person
That's the
and you
human
don't care
mind.
if the world is burning. You'll never lift a finger to help. You wouldn't have fought in World War II. You would have said, "Why should I care? It's, I didn't start this country. I'm not going to fight in World War II. Why should I care?"
Exactly. That's what most intelligent and smart people do. If you're
Yeah, it's
weak,
to be a coward and to be selfish. No, that's what disgusting people like you do. Okay, moving on. Yeah, selfishness is not something that we should glorify or respect or say is a good thing. It's literally like one of the worst things possible, right? Selfishness is what makes people, look away from the suffering of others and just allow it, or even to cause it, right? He's probably a meat eater. He probably doesn't care about exploiting farmed animals, right? They just simply don't care, and that does make them bad people. It absolutely does. Okay, hello, how you doing?
Hi, hello. So if we end like bacteria, plants, and mushrooms and everything, and including animals and humans, what about viruses? What do you think about that?
Yeah, we should be as thorough as possible, total sterilization if we can.
What if like viruses are things that we can't end? So what we gonna do by that?
Well, I mean, you can go to a bathroom right now and use some hand soap, and you'll see that there is stuff that we can do about it. And there's lots of things. But even if somehow we can't, then it's still better to help as much as we can. So people are asking similar questions like, well, what if we can't sterilize the entire universe? Well, that doesn't mean that we can't do as much as we can do, right? We can still do as much extinction as possible. So it's
Thanks.
just about doing
Oh,
as much as you can, right?
yeah.
Just keep going and just trying, right? You might find a limit where you can't do anything about viruses, but we won't know until we try.
I don't know. I feel like there are some creatures that are so, I don't know, not killable. So I think maybe viruses or another creatures. So I was thinking about that. But thank you for answering. Thanks.
Yeah, it's all right. And yeah, look, most people do limit their thinking to today's science and technology. But look, we've had the internet for 30 years. Just imagine 1,000 years from now, 1,000,000 years from now, right? We have all the time in the world to do it. And yet animals will suffer for millions, if not billions of more years. So yeah, if it takes us 1,000,000 years to find out a way to sterilize the whole planet, then why not? If it takes us 10 million years, 100 million years, it's still the right thing to do. And that science and progress is still going to help us to do sterilization of the rest of the universe, or again, as much as we can do, right? We might not be able to get to the next planet. We might not be able to get to the next galaxy, but we should try. All right, moving on. We have loads more people waiting to debate. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So I've got a question. If you approach an animal that's been suffering, right, and you are going up to it with the intention to take its life, do you think that it's going to be grateful that you do that, or do you think that it's going to run away in fear because it protects and values its own life and its existence?
Well, that's obviously not a realistic question. Obviously, the animal is not going to be grateful. So that's just a stupid question, right? So we're going to move on to hopefully someone with smarter questions.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, good. Okay, so what's the best method you think? How should we, do the extinction thing? Like what's the best way to do it? Like
Ethically.
yeah, ethically, yeah.
Yeah, ethically, basically.
Yeah, but how? Like, what can we do? Like, do you propose nuclear war or like what? Like, how did?
No, we need to develop the best methods using science. But yeah, nuclear bombs can't cause extinction. It's not physically possible.
Yeah, but then realistically, what can we do? Like, how
Yeah,
can
we can
reset the button?
use science and technology to explore this and to find the best way to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't the nuclear option like the most realistic?
So you would rather not use science, not investigate it. You would just rather throw some nuclear bombs.
No, just
Well, that is what you're saying.
No, I'm just curious. I'm just like
So I misunderstood you completely then.
yeah, because like okay, so you're saying we have to figure that out in the future, like how to do it in a less destructive way. You mean like
A more thorough way, a better way, right? We have to decide what is the best method, right? And again, nuclear bombs are not a valid method.
Oh yeah, you're right. But it's the most. I mean, just like in today, I guess like that's the best, like quickest way to do it. It seems like I don't know.
But well, it's more about it being more thorough, right? So
yeah.
If you rush it, then you risk messing it up.
Right. Okay. Oh, okay. So, okay, I understand. Okay, I thought you had like an idea already, like what
well,
to do.
Look,
Yeah.
people are trying to cure cancer right now. You wouldn't go up to them and say, "So, what is the cure?" You haven't got it yet, have you?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you for coming up. But we already can start extinction. So, if we controlled the world tomorrow, extinction could start immediately, right? We could immediately start reducing animal populations. We could ban the ownership of pets, for example. That Cora's not going to like it, but all of the animals being abused right now, they will like it. So, and there's loads more extinction that we could do, right? It's very easy, really. Hello, how you doing?
Oh, hold on a second. No, you can hang up. I was just asking the previous question, so you've already answered my question.
Okay, fair enough. Well, rock on. Okay, let's get more people up. We've got Lewis in the queue. We've got Inanimous trying to bring them up. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. I am totally agreeing with you.
Great.
But I only have a question. Why not living in a matrix where we eliminate suffering and only pleasure for animals and the humans, and also still can investigate other planets and the whole universe to make no life come again by evolution. Evolution can any time generate life again, even after extinction.
Yeah, so we have to prevent that and do as much as we can. But in terms of a simulation, if we run the world tomorrow, there is no simulation, right? Whereas the victims need relief urgently.
Okay, how you will be sure that there is no life again by evolution?
Well, we have to try.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, but it's not about just removing life and then hoping it doesn't come back. No, we have to be extremely thorough with preventing it from coming back. And most of the mission for the pro-extinction movement is about prevention. So removing life and making humanity and animals on Earth go extinct, that is a tiny, tiny part of the job. Most of it is going to be prevention for Earth and other planets as well. So prevention of life developing is going to be the majority of what we're doing.
But why not using the simulation to make
There is no simulation. You should start promagic.com.
Okay, you will use AI and robots to be sure that life will not come again.
We'll use everything we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
And yeah, look, if look, a simulation would not provide certainty of safety, okay? Only omniscience can do that. So yeah, if omniscience ever falls into our lap, then sure, we can click our fingers and rapture everyone up into a heaven or a simulation or something. But until omniscience falls into our lap, or we develop it, we have to go with the existing real solutions, the only actual solutions to provide certainty of safety from suffering, which is extinction. So only two things can provide certainty of safety from suffering. One of them is omniscience, and the other is extinction or non-existence, right? If I don't have a child, it's 100% safe from suffering, right? But if I do have a child, only omniscience could guarantee safety, right? 100% guarantee. Nothing else can do that. Without being all-knowing and having omniscience, then by default there are unknowns and you have unlimited, infinite risk of danger. It doesn't matter how good your utopia or your simulation is, without omniscience, it could still go wrong, and there's no limit to how wrong it can go, right? You can't limit it without omniscience because you just don't know. There's an infinite unknown, infinite danger. Okay, moving on. We've got more people in the queue. Whale Rider 69 coming up next. Sounds like they've been having fun at the beach. Let's see if they'll load in. Maybe not. Maybe they're lagging. Oh, hello, how you doing? Oh, no. Okay, well, look, the queue is looking very weak at the minute, so if somebody else wants to come in, then now would be a good time. But I'm going to try and get Ishki in. We've got Lucas in the queue. We've got Cora in the queue. Got quite a few people. I'm going to try and bring them up. Hello, Lucas, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So let me ask you a question. So if you really want to implement this as soon as possible, surely you appreciate that, you would take like a very small number of scientists today to unleash like a viral situation that could wipe like most lives. Like if you were to synthetically engineer like a virus that has all the potency and all the harms of everything that's possible into a single highly spreadable virus, you can basically wipe 90%
Yeah,
of
that's
humans.
against our mission. That's against our mission. Look, a virus is not a good solution, right? A virus is going to wipe out humanity, maybe not all of them.
Very silly. You use virus today for cancer. Did you know that? In order to get like the...
So you think one virus is going to end all suffering in the universe?
I think that the most credible... Look, bro, I don't agree with you.
I asked you a question, Lucas.
No, I don't agree with you, but the point I'm trying to make...
Lucas, I asked you a question. Are you
think
going
it's
to
the
ignore
most... The most...
Is it because you can't answer and you know that you're wrong?
No, I can answer. Just ask the question again.
So is a virus going to end all suffering on Earth and the universe?
I don't think anything will, but it's the most effective way to unalive people, yes.
So you don't think we could come up with a better system millions of years from now than just releasing a virus?
Oh, millions of years from now, possibly, yeah. But
So where's the time constraint, Lucas?
So the
Where's time
movement.
constraint?
Okay, so to be clear, the movement is for millions of years ahead. It's not for now.
No, it's for now. It's for all time. Again, we could start extinction immediately, and you don't need a virus for it. In fact, a virus is the least likely way to cause extinction.
Right, so I think like the best way to ascertain is to create like an opinion poll based on TikTok, right? So people can like say,
Lucas, we don't care about your opinion, okay? Look, if you want to get involved with actually causing extinction, then you should join the movement and work to make it happen. But sitting back on the side and saying, nah, I think you should do this, I think you should do that, I think you should do this, when you're not actually thinking about it, you're not having a proper conversation, right? You're just throwing stupid opinions from the side. That's not helping anyone, okay? That's just useless. That's a waste of time. Okay, moving on. We have Clips server coming up next.
Hey, how you
And no,
doing?
Alan, it's not satire, it is real. Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah. What I wanted to say, just give me a second. Let me just click off this. Yeah. I recall you said that zero tolerance for suffering. Like that's the logic you're using, and you like. I'm sure you think it's brilliant.
And you think it's bad, do you?
No, I just want to investigate it. So, as you know, sharp objects, tools like knives, scissors, they could be used for, for cutting food or anything of a useful manner, and also to protect yourself.
I'm not
Um,
detecting much intelligence here.
yeah. So, a knife or a sharp object could also be used for harm, accidental harm, or purposeful intentional harm, right?
Yeah, I think that just sounds like a completely irrelevant conversation. It sounds boring, it sounds unintelligent, uninspired. We're going to move on to Jakub. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I just have a few questions, and I want to know what your answers to them.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you think it's possible to eliminate suffering without extinction at all? Yeah, just go.
I think it's theoretically possible, but it's also like the least likely thing possible.
That's fair enough. I mean, kind of expanding on that, I think life is pretty complex and interesting in a way. It's really, to me anyway, I think it's really interesting that everything works the way it does. Our bodies, our brains, whatever. You could go into it all, but I think it's pretty complex and really interesting that it works that way. And I think, do you think it would be better to try and, I guess I'm going to use the word preserve, that sort of life and keep it going just because it's so, interesting and complex?
Well, decisions should not be made on life based on whether it's interesting, right? That's the same mentality that says that we should be able to own pets even if some people torture them, right? It's a very irresponsible. It's like saying, well, the taste of meat is interesting to me, so no, we shouldn't decide our ethics based on what we find interesting. That's the exact opposite of how it should be.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm trying to I guess interested maybe is a bad word to use, complex. I don't know, but that's fair enough. Out of curiosity, do you eat meat at all? You've been talking about how eating animals and stuff. Do you eat meat?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, going vegan at the minute would cause more suffering and worse suffering. So, a vegan world would have infinitely more wild animals suffering. No deforestation, right? But I also find it difficult to answer this question because when I'm saying, a vegan world would have this, a vegan world would have that, the vegan ideology or lifestyle, it doesn't even make sense, right? You can't even flesh it out without running into just roadblocks that make it impossible, basically. So a vegan world. The thing I just find it really hard to think about because I want to say a vegan world would have no animal suffering caused by humans, but it's just not true, right? Vegans are happy to go to restaurants that use pest control. They're happy to drive their car and run over animals and insects. They're happy for their house to be constructed at the expense of many animals. So it just doesn't, I find it hard to talk about, but yeah. Being vegan doesn't really reduce suffering, and again, there's so much more animal suffering that vegans cause outside of the kitchen, basically.
Yeah, interesting. I think you said that it doesn't reduce much. I think it does reduce it, but you're totally right. It doesn't completely eliminate.
Well, the problem is that if we all went vegan today, all of the land that's used by by the meat industry and other non-vegan industries, right? That would all be returned to wild animals, right? So vegans save approximately 30 square foot of forest a day. And that's 30 square foot a day of extra suffering that doesn't need to happen.
Yeah. Do you say extra suffering just because there's more life that's able to reproduce and die and do that? Is that why you say that, yeah?
Yeah, so when you do deforestation, you're wiping out, hundreds of different species that are living there, basically.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, maybe it's the same as veganism, but do you think if we were all herbivores, like every single animal, not just humans, if we were all, this is like quite a hypothetical, maybe it's not realistic, but if we were all herbivores and there was no disease, do you think there would still be suffering? Like, obviously, there's carnivores that eat animals and that causes suffering, but if we were all herbivores and no disease that hurts us, do you think suffering would still exist?
Yeah, there's just so many different types of suffering.
That's true.
One of the biggest ones is injuries, right? And then aging.
Yeah, I never thought
Aging is actually one of the worst ones. So
yeah, definitely.
We all say, I can't think about getting old. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to imagine myself in the care home.
Yeah, definitely.
But and it's in the same way that you smoke and say, I don't care if I get cancer 20 years from now. I'm smoking. I'm enjoying it now. When we do come to be old and on our deathbeds, it's going to be terrible. And in my personal opinion, yeah, for a lot of people, they'll be suffering so badly that if there was a button that says, like, you were never born, right? Not only will it euthanize them and end their suffering, but it will make it so that they were never born. They didn't get to live their life. They didn't get their experiences. I think a lot of people would still slam that button, be like, I don't care. The suffering is too much. End it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got lots of questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you think, because we talk about sufferism, we talk about suffering a lot, and I guess it's quite pessimistic, but do you think just because of suffering, does like good not exist? Do you think there's more good or suffering in this world? I guess that's a stupid question. I guess suffering's the obvious one. But
well, the problem is that people are always trying to make it like a balance, right? If we have this much ice cream, then we can have this much child abuse. But that's one of the biggest mistakes that people are making, where they're trying to have a balance or a ratio, right? But there actually is no ratio of happiness justifying suffering. It just doesn't exist. If you ask people to clarify on it, there isn't one. So that's why I say that you either have a zero tolerance policy on suffering, you work towards zero suffering, or you simply ignore it and have infinite acceptance. You just don't care how much there is, basically.
Yeah, fair enough. So I remember last live you spoke about AI and robots, like if all humans were to die. Someone asked you about aliens, and if there's aliens, would you want them to go extinct? And you wanted them to, because any form of life causes suffering. And you're talking about if
can cause.
Okay. And then you were talking about how if AI and robots had to deal with that, then that's okay. And then the person started talking about, computers feeling pain, which I don't agree with. But do you think AI is able to get to a point where it can develop a consciousness and suffer in its own way?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about biological suffering for animals like ourselves is that suffering is specific to the biological system. That suffering is it's like a shortcut, basically. So in the same way that you feel angry at someone instead of understanding why they did what they did, we use suffering, we use emotions and things like that as shortcuts. So AI will probably be way above all of that, right? AI is not going to be getting tortured by its own suffering in the way that humans do, right? AI is probably not going to have depression torturing it, or an illness torturing it, or sadness or anger or emotions torturing it. It's not going to be upset. Now, equally, we don't know. Maybe it will have emotions, right? Maybe it will.
Yeah,
but even if it does, and even if it can suffer, I think it's still going to be so powerful, that it's going to be okay, basically.
Do you think if it, like you said, even if it's able to suffer, do you think that AI should then also go extinct, or is that okay for it to keep going if it could suffer?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and we don't have all the answers on that just yet. I'm still confident. Yeah, I'm still confident that you can design computer systems, AI systems, where there is no possibility of consciousness.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'd agree.
But on the other hand, life develops through random chance and complexity. So yeah,
Yes.
maybe the AI can evolve to be sentient or something. Maybe it would be better to get rid of it. That's a possibility. But you know, again, we're looking at science that's thousands of years from now. It's
Yeah, definitely.
it's hard to really be on the same page with that.
Yeah. Here's another. I'm sure you've been asked this many times. If you're faced with a life-threatening situation, would you rather go live and survive, or would you rather accept death and stop your own suffering? I guess you've talked about what did you say? If you're dead, you can't, keep on doing your movement. So obviously, I'm going to assume you might choose to survive. But I'll throw the question at you. What's your answer?
Yeah, I mean, depends on the situation. But yeah, I would definitely lean towards surviving. The thing about having more empathy and to have enough empathy to be an extinctionist and to not just an extinctionist, but to be an activist and give up your life for a good cause. For us, it's like, imagine like two bags weighing on your brain or something, right? One of them is for your own caring about yourself and your own problems. Most people only have that one bag, right? But we have a second bag for empathy, where the suffering of others is weighing down on us, and we care about it in the same way that we would care about our own suffering. So we wouldn't, we would absolutely see the empathy and the suffering of others as more important than our own, basically. So yeah, we would be willing to get tortured so that we could continue helping them, because we know that they're suffering worse than anything that we will suffer during that torture.
Yeah, true. I swear I had another question. Can you mind it? Whatever. How would you want total extinction to happen? You were talking about how we don't know the science yet, really, and I guess that'll come down the line. But if you had to have us, let's say, because your focus now is building a movement. You're building people to come together to be pro-extinction.
Yeah.
Let's say you had tons of people up for that right now. How would you want to happen? How would you get people? How would you want total extinction to happen if you had to do it today?
Well, the first thing is that you have to run the world, right? You can't do total extinction with an opposing world authority. You have to do it as the authority. So that's step one, is taking over the world, basically.
Yeah. Let's say you've done that, and then what would you do?
Yeah, then we would start with animal extinction. So just immediately start getting rid of the animals, and we would also have to remove our dependence on them. So it's possible that we would, hold off on a bit of animal extinction where we could do it, but because we need them for the ecosystem or for the earth to be habitable, basically. So we'll be getting rid of them as fast as possible, depending on how fast we can remove our dependence on them. But yeah, I like to think that we would ban pet ownership. Pets would be banned because too many people are abusing them. We would make euthanasia accessible, right? We would make it so that you can get euthanasia if you're suffering terribly. In most countries it's illegal. So lots of people suffering terribly need that right now. But we would also try to make the world a utopia, right? We would, try and improve education. The problem with the world is that it's being run by pro-lifers, right? People that are unethical, they're selfish. So it's not just about extinction, it's about that entire mentality. The world is being run by Donald Trump, by dictators, by criminals. Yeah. So we can do a lot better than that. Absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough. When you said, going for animal extinction, I guess I want to try and go literal, quite literally. How would you do that? Would you go out and kill them, or would you make them? Because in my mind, I think a really good way, if we had to do it today, would just stop all reproduction, and then eventually it would happen. But
the problem
about animals.
Yeah, the problem with stopping reproduction is that it only helps the next generation, right? If someone's begging for death and they're like, please, please kill me, it hurts too much, sterilizing them is not going to help them. So yeah, euthanasia for everyone. That's the way to do it, not sterilization. When we say sterilize the universe, to make it sterile, no life. But in terms of the living beings, it would be euthanasia, not sterilization. And how would we do it? So most likely, in my opinion, right, this could be completely wrong. This is just speculation, because a lot of the science right now is just speculation. Even if we know that,
of course,
even if we know that it is possible in one form or another, we don't have all the answers right now. But yeah, I think we could start using gas. Now, I'm not talking about chambers or anything where you go on a train. I in the same way that you would use a flamethrower, or you see helicopters throwing water on wildfires and stuff like that, right? That's one option. That's one option. But ultimately, I don't know. I can't really give you a real answer on how we would start doing animal extinction, but I can direct you to our podcast, and it was episode 24 or 25, a recent one, where we did, me and Steve, the person who made the movement, we do a podcast together, and we did an episode on animal extinction and animal euthanasia and go into the details. But the way we see it, the way we see it is that it will be like fighting fire, basically. So, imagine a big fire, and you're putting out the fire with water and you're blasting it with water, but it keeps coming. And you have to keep fighting it and fighting it until eventually it's all gone. That's what animal extinction is probably going to look like. They're going to be hiding in cracks in different parts of the world, and you might think you've cleared out one area and then it comes back. So it's going to be a bit of a back and forth, we think, and it's going to be just consistent efforts, basically. So it's not going to be one event or a virus or anything like that. It's not going to be nuclear bombs. It's not going to be. It's going to be way more organized and human than that, right? It's going to be like just a normal operation where everyone's trying to do this.
Yeah, fair enough. How long, I guess I'm just more curious now. How long have you been thinking about pro-extinction, and when did you start social media on it?
I was invited to the movement and had it explained to me in June of last year. So yeah, a year ago. I was on Reddit. I was on a subreddit called Are We in Hell? And I was writing about how life is terrible and stuff like that. And someone invited me and said, well, then you're going to love the pro-extinction movement. And so they basically, I didn't fully agree with it when they suggested it. It was literally a comment on Reddit said, we can end it all with extinction. And I said, that sounds impossible to me. And they invited me to a live stream YouTube debate, and I accepted it. And it wasn't a debate at all. I couldn't disagree with anything. And by the end of the 30, 40 minutes or whatever, I was all in. I was like, okay, how can I get started? How can I help?
Well, fair enough. Yeah, I guess I think it's quite hard to argue, really. Because one thing I just thought about there is like, people could be feared of extinction just because maybe they're purely just feared of death. No one wants to die. And then if they hear extinction, they think, oh, I'm going to die tomorrow. I don't want to be extinct. But
it's a lot of factors. It's not just the fear of death. There's a lot of stuff going on. And basically, why are people against extinction? It's because they have evolved to have just a massive, massive labyrinth, like an iceberg of irrationalities planted in the brain. So you're born with them, actually. So you're born with beliefs, you're born with positions, you're born with feelings on certain topics. And that's obviously reinforced through society and your upbringing. But you are born with them. You are born with semantics in the brain which are incorrect. And you literally give you incorrect beliefs, basically, and understandings.
Yeah.
Because that's how we evolved. That it literally benefited reproduction. Yeah, when we're thinking about life and evolution, you always have to think about it in terms of what benefits reproduction the most. And so, all of humanity's evolution and history completely hinged on what benefited reproduction. And one of the biggest things, if not the biggest things, was being irrational, loving life, wanting to have kids, not caring if they suffer, not being able to understand that you're in extreme danger of suffering, not caring about your own future suffering, not caring about the future suffering of your children, etc. So all of this insanity, basically, it keeps humans animalistic, but it's all in the brain. So yeah, it's not just one thing. Fear of death is a big part of it, absolutely, but there's a whole mess in there.
Yeah, I've just seen one of the chats. Someone saying suffering is necessary. What do you think of that? I guess some people say suffering is necessary to grow and evolve and all that, but do you think it is? What are all your different things?
I mean, suffering is necessary for evolution, and for a person to go through life in this world, suffering is necessary. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing. And when we're saying it's necessary, you're only considering those that benefit from it, right? So if 99% of life is getting thrown into a meat grinder and eaten alive, which is the case, right? Over 99% of life on this planet will get eaten alive as children, animals in nature.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
It's not necessary. The suffering isn't necessary for most of life. The suffering is bad for them. Suffering is only good for the tiny minority.
Yeah. Could you? I just seen this there. I don't know if I asked this at the start. I've forgotten. But could you define suffering and what specific things cause suffering? I think I did ask this, but could you define suffering and what things in particular? Give me examples of suffering in humans and animals. You have gave some already, but just
I mean, suffering is basically like it's your brain's way of hurting you, essentially. So all suffering, all different types of suffering, whether you're upset or being tortured, it all does the same thing, where essentially it causes inflammation in the brain, in the consciousness. So yeah, whether you're suffering a little bit of pain at the gym or something else like that, it's all a similar thing. And the more extreme it gets, obviously the worse it gets. So yeah, if you suffer at the gym, it's not that bad, but if you're being tortured by an illness or a person, whatever, it just gets more severe and more intense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Do you believe in any sort of what's it called? Like, I want to say religion. I don't know what the word for it is. I forgot. But like
no,
an afterlife. Do you believe in a stronger? I forgot the word. Do you believe in a God?
No, I'm completely atheist, and so is our movement. Yeah, our movement doesn't allow religious people to do activism for it.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. That's all my questions. Sorry for taking so much time. Thank you for your discussion. Really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, Jakub, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And you should absolutely join the conversation on Discord. Continue it there. We have hundreds of people in our Discord server, and you can find the link on my profile on TikTok, or you can Google search "Abolish Suffering Discord." Is this movement legal? Yes, actually, it is totally legal to call for extinction and the forceful annihilation of humanity and all animals. It is legal. I've been doing this very publicly for over a year now, and nobody's knocked on my door. I've not had a letter or a phone call or a visit or nothing. I've had absolutely nothing. I haven't had any contact from the police or Interpol or anything. Nothing. No one's contacted me. No one cares. And I did look into it. At least in the United Kingdom, it is legal because it's not taken seriously as a real threat. So for it to be illegal, it has to be a realistic and imminent threat. So luckily, we're flying under the radar for now. All right, let's see. We've got Ben coming up next. Bringing up Ben. Let's see if he'll join on. Let's see if he'll load. Trying to load him in. My lighting's a bit bad. Okay, looks like Ben is not going to load. Again, if you've been in the queue and you're not being called up, you will be called up eventually, but we do try to get through some fresh faces here on the show, bring some new ideas, some fresh people in, and that's what people want to see. Right, let's see. We've got Kasim in the queue. Let's try and bring them up. Kasim, hello, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I have a really good question.
Yeah, go for it.
How can someone learn something without suffering? Because I feel like not knowing is suffering.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't need to we don't need to know stuff, right? We can just go extinct and have no suffering.
I see. Let me think of another question.
Sure. Okay.
Well, if you look at Islam, it kind of agrees with your point of view because it
Allahu
says
Akbar.
that we're here on a test, right? It's just a test, and life is it's not forever. You don't live forever, and it's just a test. And if you don't suffer, you don't get to heaven.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the opposite of our movement. Thank you for coming on, Kasim. But we're an atheistic movement. We don't believe in God. And extinction isn't about a test or anything like that. It's about responsibility, compassion, ethics, doing the right thing, being a good person, and yeah, having a zero tolerance policy on suffering, extreme suffering, people begging for death, wishing they'd not been born to suffer horrifically, right? We should absolutely ban all of that terrible stuff. And, you know, unless you do total extinction, then you're guaranteeing it will keep happening. So what could possibly justify that? What, you know, is this world really justified? What's so amazing about life that, you know, it means that people and animals have to be tortured horrifically? How is that a good system? How is that a fair system? It's just not. You know, we have a very unfair world, and people will literally say, "Oh, it's fair because everyone has an equal chance at, you know, having a good or bad life, right? Everyone has a fair chance at being tortured. Everyone has a fair chance at suffering. That's not a good thing. It's not a fair world where, you know, you have billionaires, you know, drinking and you know, having fun on the beach, and then other people being tortured with illnesses. And you know, it's not really just about the money, right? Those billionaires could suffer even worse than a poor person, right? It's very possible. Tom Jerry.
Yeah, I've been listening. You have a very fascinating and intriguing position. I just had a couple questions because there's a little cognitive dissonance going on my point. So you believe that ending people's suffering is helping them, like it's the higher moral choice at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where the distance is coming for me because as I've analyzed language, I noticed that like life and sustaining life seems to be like the most rational standpoint because even language has evolved to show that. Like when we use the word helpful, right, it's usually in context of helping someone in their aligned mental state, either from like motives or survival. Like if someone's hungry, you give them food. If someone needs help with school, you might pay their books. You know, you're being helpful, right? So how can it's like, so you're consenting to what their mental state align. So how are you being helpful if you're going against, you know, a lot of people's consent of wanting to live?
Well, let me ask you this: if 9 out of 10 people want to, you know, gang assault and abuse the other person, that doesn't make it okay just because more people want it, does it?
No, my question is more like how is your stance rational, even though it's using the word helpful in a very skewed way that we don't use it.
Well, I'm not. I never said the word helpful.
So I'm recording this. You did say you agree with when I said helpful, so I could run it back.
But what are you talking about? What's helpful?
You said ending people's suffering is a good thing, and the descriptive for that would be helpful, right? The descriptive word.
So you disagree that, you know, helping someone who's suffering is a good thing?
Yeah, so the context is ending their life is what you're saying is a good thing, right? And I'm stating that's using like how we develop language that is not a good thing. It's irrational because that's not how we use the term good or helpful. So how are you being
So,
helpful if you're
okay,
going against people's consent? Because when you're being helpful, it's usually aligned with their mental state of either survival or motivation or what they want, right?
but it doesn't have to be, right?
uh uh there's like special circumstances where it doesn't have to be because
Yeah, exactly.
sustaining their life would not actually help them, right? So like
Exactly. So, yeah, extinction helps everyone because they are in infinite danger. So it provides them
I basically
safety.
gave you an argument, but like you're it's still wrong because it's contextual. It's about immediate danger, not possible danger. So like
What
if
are you talking
someone
about? What are you talking about?
so in the circumstance of like helping
What
someone.
immediate danger are you talking about?
Yeah, like in a circumstance where you would end someone's life to stop their suffering, right? Like someone in hospice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or somebody pulling the plug, is because keeping them alive would just uh continue
Yeah.
their immediate suffering, right? So there's no chance the next day they're gonna have a better day where they can eat and be happy. But if someone has a cut or maybe like they need their leg amputated in the future, even though they had to get over a hurdle, they could still be happy, maybe get a wife and have children and
Yeah,
be
but
happy that they're
the
alive.
problem is, without total extinction, you're always going to have victims, right? So you're portraying life as this good thing, but actually it's a bad thing, right? Those who suffer terribly, the worst off, it's not a good thing. So it's not fair, and nobody deserves to suffer just so that others can have fun.
Well, but this is what I'm trying to figure out. How is you're using terms that we use all the time where we need consent. So how is yours more rational when you take away consent?
Yeah, because nobody's consenting to be born, right? So firstly, the only way to protect people from having that consent violation is total extinction. Hopefully you
Wait,
would agree.
so are you saying that we're
Would
violating?
you agree with that?
Wait, I'm asking clarifying question. So we're violating someone's that doesn't exist as we're violating their consent even they don't exist. They can't uh what's it called, agree or disagree to that. That's what you're stating?
So you think being forced to be born doesn't violate consent?
How can you be forced to be born if you have no mind or personhood
Because you're
to?
born. Yeah, exactly. You don't have a mind. You can't consent. That's the problem.
Yeah, but like you can't violate something that doesn't exist.
But it does exist. You're making it exist.
Yeah, once it comes to existence, now it has the ability to choose. Hey, is this worth being here? Should I live up to 80
So,
years
so let
old?
me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Is it okay if a child gets born into a dungeon to be murdered? Did they consent to that? Is that a violation, would you say?
Yeah, that's harmful. Yeah, it's harmful.
Yeah, okay. So you forget this stupid idea that, it's not a violation just because they couldn't consent to it. That's ridiculous.
But that doesn't mean the child is gonna forever be stuck in that dungeon, and that
Yeah,
doesn't mean the
because they'll
child.
die. They'll get murdered.
How do you how that you're this is a hypothetical situation. How would you know that? This is
Yeah, it's a hypothetical, and you're saying it will never happen. So who's really failing to understand how
wait so
hypotheticals
wait
work?
wait
It's you.
so time out. So your position now is
So your
you the
position is that children in dungeons always escape and live a happy
no
ending,
no no. So you made a
right?
point
Because
about
that's what it
how
sounded like you said, right?
you made a point about how there might be a percentage of people.
Tom, you're now dodging an incredible
I'm
amount
not
of
dodging. Are you
questions.
about
You're
to run
getting
now?
close to being kicked out here.
I'm trying to clarify your point, right? You made a point. You made a position about how there's a percentage. There's someone out there, right, that is dealing with the suffering of being trapped in a dungeon, right? And do you have any statistics for this percentage of people that's in a dungeon that's that's gonna end up being murdered while being in the
Yeah,
dungeon?
yeah, yeah. It's happened many times before.
Yeah, and then so you're stating because this percentage of people uh,
Oh no.
are
So for you,
affected
it's
by
about a
this.
percentage. For you, it's about a ratio. Is that right?
So is your
Let
logic,
me,
does your stance
Tom.
have any
Again, you're
pragmatic or
dodging every single
logical
question
view?
here. You
Like,
will be kicked if you keep dodging.
wait, repeat your question again.
I said you will be kicked if you keep dodging every single question.
Yeah, you asked me it's about a percentage. Yeah, so that's why I'm asking. Does your view have any pragmatic or
So
logical
you've dodged the
stance?
question again, Tom.
It's not. It's not because you're
Tom,
saying
you've
that.
dodged the question like 5 times in a row now.
So are you saying that I'm being illogical and unpragmatic?
Yes.
Explain how I'm being illogical and unpragmatic. Because
Because
using statistics and
when
percentage
you
would.
refuse to answer a question 5 times, that's when you know that you've been defeated.
Okay, repeat your question.
So you don't even remember the question, even though I've asked it 5 times now.
Yes, you asked a question revolving around percentages. Like you saying that it's
So
wrong
you
for me
weren't
to use
even listening. You
percentages.
weren't paying attention.
You're saying that it's wrong for me to base anything on
Tom,
percentages.
you've
You're right.
proven that you cannot take this debate seriously, right? You just simply can't. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream now because I've got to get going for dinner. So thanks for joining us, everyone. The next 2 days I'll be a bit more free, so I'll probably be streaming tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. So follow me, watch my recent videos, and join the conversation with hundreds of extinctionists like myself on our Discord server. You can find the link on my profile, or you can Google search Abolish Suffering Discord. On my profile, the link will also take you to the website where you can read our manifesto, our FAQ, and you can get in touch, you can join the Discord, become an activist, help us grow the movement so that we can end all of this terrible suffering and make sure that nobody has to suffer ever again, whether it's animals, humans, all life. Nobody deserves to suffer, and we should make it so that everyone is safe from that, even if it means they're no longer existing. So that's the only right thing to do. Help us make it happen. And yeah, thank you, everyone. And just for Kenny, who is going off in the chat, basically veganism causes more suffering, Kenny, because it transfers suffering onto wild animals who will suffer worse and in greater numbers as well. Vegans completely disregard wild animal suffering and they think it's actually a good thing. But it's not. A vegan world would have far more wild animal suffering. No, Kenny, that's you. If you're against extinction, then you support breeding animals into existence and them suffering terribly. Yes, vegan. Kenny, why don't you come up and debate, right? If you're so confident. But we know you're not. We know you're not serious. Okay, no, wait, he is in the queue. He is in the queue. We're going to bring up Kenny now. Kenny.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, good.
Right, so you're currently not vegan.
No.
But you believe that animals should not be bred into existence, while simultaneously paying for them to be bred into existence, so you can kill and eat them, right?
Yeah, but what about wild animals?
Right, so a lot of vegans have the same position as you.
No,
on
they
wild
don't.
animal suffering.
No, they
on
don't.
Wild animal suffering.
Show me some evidence.
What do you mean?
So, how many vegans are doing activism for wild animal extinction?
Quite a lot of vegans.
Where? Show me some evidence.
I don't want to fucking throw vegans under
you're
the
lying.
bus.
You're lying, Kenny. It doesn't
Gary
exist.
Yourofsky supports the culling of carnivorous animals.
Right, that's not the same thing, Kenny.
Some vegans are
Kenny,
ethilists.
Kenny, it's not the same thing.
Right, so can you answer me this question? Why are you not vegan whilst having your total extinction stance? Because not being vegan literally supports the exploitation of animals, literally supports breeding animals into existence in the tens of billions.
Right, but the thing is that you're only focusing on one group, right? So you're completely disregarding the impact on wild animals.
What impact on wild animals?
Yeah, a vegan world would have far more wild animals suffering worse than farmed animals and in greater numbers.
So why don't you advocate for a world where everybody's vegan, right? But you don't support rewilding.
I do advocate for that.
So why are you not vegan?
Because right now, being a vegan would cause more suffering.
How would it cause more suffering to be a vegan right now?
Because it transfers, basically veganism is so land and space efficient and it also denies, deforestation and stuff. It basically just gives massive amounts of land to wild animals to suffer terribly on. So being vegan, you save 30 square foot of forest every day, and that's 30 square foot of extreme suffering that doesn't have to happen.
You'd have to prove to me that square footage that you're talking about.
I can. We have the data on our website. You can go and look right now. So go on our website, go on the full FAQ, and go to question 33. It's near the bottom.
Right. Okay. I will look at that, and then I'll come back, and hopefully we can debate the subject again.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go now, but yeah, we can debate again tomorrow potentially. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and I really got to get going.